No, not at all. Total BS. This claim is either completely false, made up, just totally made up, or it could be that it's not 100% made up, and it could just be like a mischaracterization of a sort of truth. So let's take a look at this really quickly. What we've got here, what you're looking at here, this is basically the results of an EEG. Each one of these is an electrode, and it's measuring electrical activity at a different place in the brain. And so what the brain actually does is there is some cyclical activity. There's different names for different waves. There's alpha waves, there's theta waves, there's beta waves, there's gamma waves, there's all sorts of things. These are the rate of oscillation, so like 2 hertz or 10 hertz or something like that. So 10 cycles per second or 2 cycles per second. Different processes oscillate at different speeds. For instance, REM sleep has a different characteristic wave than full alert awakeness. And then also deep sleep has a different wave that's characteristic of deep sleep. So waves tend to be what's actually going on in the brain. There's a book that I really like called Waves on the Brain. I guess Waves on the Brain. It's by Gregory Buzaki. Really great. It's just talking about oscillations, oscillatory activity in the brain. And seems to be what makes the brain function. Okay, so if you're, say, Limitless, or Lucy is another one, like just movies that start with L, I guess, are going to tell you incomplete or just totally untrue information about your brain. If you're Limitless, you would think, like, look at this over here on the right side of the screen. This is what happens when you take the Limitless pill and your brain starts operating at 100% capacity. No. Do you know what that actually is? That is a seizure. So if your brain was operating at 100%, you would be just totally in like a seized state the whole time. And, not to make light of seizures, but if you have them, you're going to agree with me that a movie where Bradley Cooper takes a pill and just has a seizure for 2 hours is not really a great movie. So a lot of poetic license taken on that. Okay, so no, you don't only use 10 or 20% of your brain. Use, if you want to be really pedantic about it, maybe. Because each and every single neuron isn't firing at exactly the same time. If you use 100% of your brain, every neuron is firing always. If that's happening, bro, you're having a seizure. So you don't actually want your brain to be firing 100% of the time, all the time. Or ever. You don't ever want all the neurons firing at exactly the same time. So I guess it's true. But so let's cut back. Let's change the nature of that question. Do you use only 10 or 20% of the effective capacity of your brain at any one time? Yeah, no. You're using 100% of the effective capacity of your brain all the time. Right? Like, assuming that we're not interpreting that question of just like activating everything at every moment, and we're saying like, okay, so in the realm of reality, is there any part of your brain that's just dormant at any time? What happens? This is not true. Your brain is always 100% active, as much as it can be. Not 100%. Not 100%. You're not having a seizure every time. Your brain is always as active as it can be. In fact, when we go into states where we're not doing anything, the brain goes into what's called the default mode network. Default mode network is where your brain goes when you are not doing anything. So this is where you'll see activity in the default mode network. What people do in these situations are they're in an fMRI machine and they are given no task. They're not told to do anything. So they're just in the fMRI machine. You see the default mode network turn on when they've been given a task and then they're told to wait. The brain turns on the default mode network. Then it turns it off when there's another task to do. So say that there's a reading task that's going to come on after they go through like a period of waiting. Then you'll see that language centers, occipital cortex, and frontal lobe are activated for the reading task. But then if they have to wait again while they're in the fMRI machine, then you see the default mode. These different hubs here in the default mode go back to being activated. Default mode network does a lot of things. It thinks about the self, it thinks about others, and then one of the big things that it's implicated in is thinking about the past and thinking about the future. So it's kind of like when you're in an idling state, you're just kind of like replaying past events and planning things for the future. It's also, there's some research that shows that it's beneficial because it can promote creativity. So if you want to be more creative, you need to be idle sometimes. You just need to have time to allow your default mode network to kick on. So one of the ways that this has been looked at is with what's called chain-free association. This is the measurement of creativity. Like how well can you associate two concepts given no structure in between? How quickly and easily is it to like go from one to another? And people with higher default mode network activity are better at making chain-free association. So it looks like the default mode network is good for being creative. Interestingly, people with ADHD show less of an anti-correlation between doing another task and turning off the default mode network. So what that means is like if you're looking for green stars on a computer screen and you're trying to find all the green stars, if you don't have ADHD, you'll see the default mode network go away. Just like I said, if you do the reading task, the default mode network goes away and you see other things get active. Well, for people with ADHD, it looks like the default mode network doesn't really go away as much, and that might actually be some of the cause of people with ADHD moving away from the task that they're on, is that the default mode network is still activated. So there are the brain's always doing stuff. That's the point of what I'm saying. You're always using 100% of the capacity that you have to do brain stuff it's always being used. But remember, you're not ever using 100% of every neuron at every time because you're not just seizing the whole time. So we do use all the capability that we can in the brain. And it's good to allow yourself not to do things sometimes to allow the default mode network to turn on because it promotes creativity, it allows you to plan for the future and think about past events and learn from them. So, no, Limitless, not a documentary. Who knew?